Mind. People ask, who is Datre and what does Datre do? We are birthed knowing who we are and what we are to do. How do we know? In the very, very simplest of terms, we are birthed with a mind. For us, a mind gathers what you could refer to as information from the energy. We work with this information directly. Remember, mind has no memory. This is how we work in a fluid fashion. Memory blocks fluidity because it always references back into time/space. Your mind, likewise, has no memory. It is the interaction between the mind and the physical brain that provides the memory. Mind only always expresses itself as now. As some of those in Datre became fascinated by the formation of energy particles, shall we say, a new dimension of creators was birthed called creator core cells. We've explained this before. The creator core cells birthed the original you, that you are from a small portion of itself which contained all the elements, shall we say, of the original us. When you were created as a portion of the original you, that you are, which contained all the elements of the creator core cells. Nothing was lost or diminished in any way. You have it all. All the components, consciousness, psyche, mind, and much, much more that has no specific word relationships. The consciousness, psyche, and mind have no parameters. All is free flowing throughout the universe and aligns to that portion of the dreamer you that are applicable to your present reality. This flow is non-directional. It is only your belief that defines flow in a specific direction. The mind is what identifies you as you. This is how you can locate yourself in all different realities and all time/space. This is why we in Datre have said, we can be as large as we wish or as small as we wish. As you change, the possibilities and probabilities change to different options chosen by the dreamer you. This is why we say, who and what you are is always vaster than your knowledge of yourself. In the physical life, you can't keep up with your ever-expanding psychological and psychic activity. When it comes to the subject of mind, as we have said, like us in Datre, you were birthed with mind. The mind is not a part of the body. It is used by you in the body and the dreamer you. The outer psyche uses the mind in order to collect possibilities and probabilities from consciousness to put together that which you are capable of and in alignment with your reality. The inner psyche presents you with the translated version of the possibilities and probabilities for you to use in your play. As an example, it is similar to how a playwright might go about putting their play together. The playwright, you in the physical, asks an associate, the inner psyche, to do research in a certain area you are considering as an outline for your play. The researcher, the inner psyche, gathers all the data on that subject from the dreamer you outer psyche and sorts it into different categories. Then hands it to the playwright, you in the body, for your use in framing your play. A computer's overall processing system is another analogy. In that computer you have a vast amount of raw data in storage, the brain. Also in that computer you have a very advanced database program. This database program has all of the rules, which are your beliefs, for sorting through that raw data in the brain for meaningful results. This computer system could be called your mental environment, which includes your brains and your mind. Thinks and thoughts. You consider thinking and thoughts as the same thing, but just using different words. They are not the same, they are two very different things. Thinks are a brain process. The brain sorts material to find what ts the present circumstances. You think about getting a glass of water, the body just sends a signal to the brain to get water and your body responds by getting a glass of water. Thinks have what might be termed electromagnetic properties. Thus your thinks mix and match with others, creating mass patterns that form the overall basis behind world events. We have also called this your mass consciousness. You have become so used to only one line of thinking that you usually ignore all others. Thoughts are unfocused input. You put out a question, and then you forget about it. That is when a thought will become available to you. When you are pondering a subject, searching for information, you are most likely to be attracted to and accept information from that which you call your mass consciousness. This is the easiest connection because they are not in any way different from the patterning you have within your own physical construct. You may think in different ways, but it is still not anything that is very different as far as you are concerned to your everyday life. The same is true with that which you get from your dead zone. A lot of that is not unfamiliar to you. From the dead zone, you may have a think that is progressive in nature regarding something that you are working on that you're very much involved in, such as any of your specific arts or any of your projects that in any way, be it in manufacturing or selling or creating an art form or whatever it may be, a little bit more progressive in that very subject that you're working in. But it is no more than an expanded view of what you already have as your basic knowledge. When you get a thought is entirely different. A thought is what you would call far out. You get a thought, and that is unlike anything that you have a concept of. It's totally surprising to you. Much like the man that is involved in that which you call your computer industry and trying to figure out how he can make microchips for the computer cheaper and more efficient. Guess what he came up with? Making circuit boards and microchips out of chicken feathers. That's a thought. That is something that probably surprised him as much as anything. When he got the thought and put it into motion, he found out the cost was much less, practically insignificant, and the speed with which these microchips operated was much faster and better than anything that was currently available. That is what I would call a thought. That particular instance or any instance that is like that, which is what you would call far out in left field. Then all of a sudden, here you have something that is totally different. That is what we call a thought. Where do thoughts come from? Thoughts come from the processing of the possibilities and probabilities that you put forth to experience in physicality. The psyche outside of the body is constantly putting together facets of information. The possibilities and probabilities are then coagulated into, so-called, packets that can now be used or brought into the physical and explored. When the psyche within the body connects up with that portion of the psyche outside of the body, the exploration of the possibilities and probabilities relating to an individual are searched for. The psyche makes packets that contain plots for different plays. It doesn't have anything to do with plays, they're just plots. The interior psyche puts the plots into a sequence called a play. You go about orchestrating a play that is meaningful to you. The plots have so many facets to them, you can continually pick and choose from those particular portions of that thought packet as long as you want to continue it. That information will continue to expand as long as you maintain an interest. The physical psyche brings in several plots. The psyche and the ego working together select a plot that is suitable for your particular play. As an example, like a murder mystery. You have a crime that has taken place and you have 25 different suspects. Any combination of all these suspects are the possible outcomes. You can choose and play it any way you want to do it. You have a theme to work with. All the different ways that you can make your play work, you will have different outcomes for every one of the plays. The fact that someone may be working on a similar play because they picked up a similar plot to yours, their outcome is similar to your outcome, except in yours the butler did it. And theirs the wife did it. The thing is, it is basically the same play. It's the same mystery, but you pick different characters. You can be using the same plots as anybody in the world. Then you're going to come up with similar outcomes. The variations are up to the individual. As an example, the dreamer yous, after reviewing your mass consciousness patterns, have set forth another play for this new millennium. It is almost a reverse of the last 1000 millennium, but it needs an entirely different outcome. This is an excellent example of how you can rearrange plays. Once again, you are using the same plots, but now the characters have changed, resulting in a whole different play. The outside psyche, which is part of the dreamer you, is that portion of awareness that is able to organize thought into plots in regard to the possibilities and probabilities. The inside psyche helps organize the plots into a play. As we have said, consciousness in the body functions entirely different than the consciousness that is outside of the body that is contained within the whole particle universe. Consciousness outside the body contains the possibilities and probabilities. Consciousness within the body works with the individual organization of the body and its component parts. It's what makes everything in the body function automatically. The outside psyche is that portion of awareness that is able to organize the possibilities and probabilities into plots. The inside psyche brings in the appropriate plots for organization into plays. There are always those on your planet to bring forth possibilities and probabilities that are progressive and put them into motion for others to follow. Thus, in this way, the evolutionary process of the species continues. These individuals are always considered to be strange or mavericks by their contemporaries. Your most brilliant scientists, physicists, and clairvoyants who bring forth groundbreaking concepts and ideas are often criticized and challenged by so-called facts. Whether you are thinking or receiving thoughts, your whole body is responding. You think the only thing that happens is taking place in your brain. Your whole body is responding to that input. When you have an idea that excites you, the body becomes exhilarated. When you are sad and depressed, your whole body responds accordingly. This is why we've stressed observation. In that way you are able to fashion your plays in a more constructive manner. Thinks are things, actually, in that they have a triggering action within the body that stimulates your whole hormonal structures. That hormonal structure in turn changes that which you call your viruses in your body. The big difference between thinks and thoughts is that thinks have bodily impact. Thoughts are different than thinks. The thinks within the body, that which you think has a direct correlation to your bodily functions. Thinks are process-oriented. Thoughts are free flowing. How often have you heard, you are what you think you are? The thinks that you think within the body changes the hormonal structure of the body and changes the viruses within the body and changes the cell structure within the body. Thinks are related to your experiential environment. That is one of the things that people ask, why did I get this disease? Or, how come this or how come that? And how come some people can cure their bodies without medication? Then some people take all kinds of medication and it doesn't help? How come some doctors are better than another doctor? All of these things are all related, because it's all related to your thinks process. The other thing that is involved, of course, is your belief system. When you think, if you're thinking from that pattern in mass consciousness which is uplifting, the thinks trigger all of the parts of mechanisms within the body and give the body an exhilarated feeling. The reverse is also true in the thinking process. That can result in depression. You need to be involved in the creative process in any way, shape, or form. That gives you that inner satisfaction, that inner delight, that exhilaration. That in turn works with the body and promotes health. It's not the running. It's not the bicycle riding. It's not diets. It's not any of those things. It's the thinks. It's the mental process that works with the physical construct. You ask the question, how can I connect with my thoughts? As an example, the true rhythm of golf is in getting the whole body system to flow as one. Instead of thinking about a specific part of the body, as they often do in putting. The hands are placed just so. The feet are placed just so. The shoulders rotate just so. They are already experiencing creative tension. They need to focus. Then they need to learn to stop thinking without falling asleep so that the whole body system can flow freely and allow the thoughts to come in naturally. So in putting you need to allow the whole body to putt the ball, not separate parts. It is the same with ball players trying to catch a baseball or a football. If they just focus on catching the ball, they are successful. If, in the process of catching the ball, they think about what they are doing or where they are, they often fail to catch the ball. The musician is composing a piece of music. The thought begins to flow and he writes with rapidity to get it all. The composer is the one who decides where to stop that flow. The artist starts to paint and the brush and paint can scarcely keep up to the flow of the thought. Thought does not compartmentalize like thinks do. Thought connects all of the body together into a natural flow.